Welcome into the Fantasy Addicts Fantasy Football Podcast. We are streaming live on Twitch.
We'll do it live!
Hitting that record for the YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Done dead.
All right. I have laid out a meticulous plan for what we're going to do for today's show. So here is the plan.
Man.
We are going. Uh-oh. Looks like we're just going. We're jumping in.
Yeah,
so free agency. It continues. All right. We got your free agency fix, you fellow addicts.
What do you want to lead with?
Oh, let's lead with the intro. So I'm your host, Mike the Fantasy Addict, with co-host Nikki B.
That's me.
Yep. Last episode was his birthday, so he's still riding that birthday high.
Yeah, well, I feel about 10 years older today.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump into it. Free agency is underway. We are right now in the kind of the legal tampering period, or where you can
agree, but you can't agree.
Yeah. So the ink's not dry on the paper yet. So we'll just jump into it. Do the Bears then have an out? Are they is this all a joke? We're not actually getting Andy Dalton as the quarterback?
Yeah, it's just all a facade. No, I think.
Oh no.
I think we're stuck with Andy Dalton.
Oh, my gosh. Andy, the Red Rifle, Dalton, going to the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
If you don't know, now you know.
Disappointed!
Not great, Bob.
No,
Not great.
it's not what I was hoping for.
I mean, we went from Watson. Okay, we can't afford Watson.
Man,
Wilson,
maybe.
Wilson wants to go to the Bears. I like that.
Chicago, we're Chicago.
Yeah, that's us.
Come on, Wilson, Russell.
Andy Dalton.
Andy, the Red Rifle.
Sag, I think.
You are so dumb.
Is the word.
You are really dumb.
Oh,
I've heard the comparison now that the Bengals are basically the Bears. Consistent at getting into the playoffs and getting your 8, 9, 10 wins and just doing nothing with it. So why not let Andy lead us to usual Bears history?
the Bears had a quarterback in young Mitchell Trubisky that was capable of taking you barely scraping into the playoffs and losing the first playoff game.
Barely scraping.
We had that.
Banjo, welcome in. He's just good enough to be bad for the Bears. Precisely. I mean, he's good enough to not get you a good draft position, but bad enough that you've got no chance of anything.
So let me throw out this one scenario.
Throw it out.
And my brother, who is just an ardent Bears fan, and he believes
he's not buying into this whole thing.
He thinks that they signed Andy Dalton as the backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears, and that they're actually about to make a giant splash move.
What?
He says, wait for Foles to get moved. They're gonna bring in somebody else. Dalton's just the insurance plan. All right, we had an alert pop up.
No,
nothing
of note.
All right, I was waiting for on cue Foles to get traded and the Bears signed Deshaun Watson.
No, that is way too wishful of thinking.
And I told him, it's like, are you new? This is exactly the guys that the Bears signed to bring in and be the starting quarterback, and he leads you to like 10 wins.
He's like a half a season to a full season behind you. I think mid-season this last year, when I asked you, do the Bears have a chance of winning the Super Bowl? And you said, yeah, I think so. And then 2 weeks later, you're like, no, they don't belong here at all. I think he's just a little bit behind, but he'll get there. He'll get there.
It's just not at all inspiring. Like the guys, you'd think. So his argument for why this is not the final step in the plan is that he thinks Pace's job is on the line. And I think his exact words were, Pace wouldn't trust his career to Andy Dalton. And here we are. I think that I think they put out feelers. I think they tried for Watson. I think they tried for Wilson. I think that it just came up. They said, that was their plan. And they're like, all right, we're going to get them here. Oh, we're going to give them more. We're going to give them more. And they said, no, we're actually going to keep our really good quarterbacks because they're hard to find.
So let's
say he panicked and just full tilt was like, Andy Dalton's available.
Sure,
like,
we'll take him.
Oh, no.
Do you think it's worse than the Tyrod Taylor signing?
Tyrod
Taylor. $12 million for Tyrod?
Let's see. Remind me, was he the Texans signing?
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor is an insurance plan, though, whereas Andy Dalton, I believe, is just the plan. That's the plan.
This is all we've got left.
I am the gift. So
if Andy Dalton gets us to 10-7,
it's just, again, if he gets to the playoffs and loses the first playoff game, which is a number of quarterbacks they could have found to do that, then it's a total fire everyone. You're all worthless.
Even with a playoff berth.
It's not even close to good enough because we can already do that. Like, your job is to get people so that they can win games beyond that.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
With the new addition of the extra playoff spot, it's just not like, are you better than the Lions? Sure.
Maybe.
Sure, we're better than the rebuilding tight end coordinator led Lions, like
The meatball.
oh, but if the Vikings beat them, then gosh, it's just
So what does
terrible,
Foles do now? You just trade
situation.
Foles, just get rid of him?
Foles is going to be the backup. Dalton's going to be the starter. Foles is going to be the
Yeah.
backup. The whole camp we're going to have to hear about. It's anybody's ball game. Anybody can be the quarterback. Foles looks good.
Are we thinking it
and
all?
it's all lies.
Are we thinking it all about them getting rid of Foles, just cutting him and trading up and taking a quarterback in the draft?
No, they just again dead cap. It's like
Dead cap is dead cap. I mean, it is what it is at this point.
yeah, the Bears
You just
are in
signed
the
Andy Dalton.
lower end of the cap. You know, they're in one of the worst situations now.
But that's if there's rumors that they're going to get rid of Hicks, unfortunately, and a couple other moves.
No,
So,
you need Hicks. Hicks is one of the most important pieces of the defense.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be on the team.
It's
see.
just going terribly. Again,
We're
if
Bills fans now, right?
No, I'll do a 180 if they do bring in some kind of quarterback, or if they draft somebody. I don't know if they trade up to get Mac Jones. That doesn't inspire me. I think it's just going to be. He's not good enough to just put Dalton on the shelf.
But the thing is,
like,
there's hope at least. You have
a
hope.
little bit, but there's not a lot. If they trade up higher than that and they get like a Trey Lance, but Trey Lance has a lot of scary parallels to Mitch Trubisky.
And you'd have to pay up a lot.
You would. And they have draft capital. I think they have 8 picks in the upcoming draft, so they've got a little bit. But
Just give them all for Trey Lance.
yeah, and really, it's like, what can you get for Foles if you try to trade him?
I don't know.
It's
The
a bad
whole
situation.
trade Foles thing. Who wants Foles? I mean, the Jaguars cut him because they had Gardner Minshew. Like,
Well, they took the chance. They gave him too much money, and then we took on their mistake in a way.
right, but I mean, like, why?
It's just a bad. That Dalton signing was just the okay, Bears fans. It's,
And we're back to where we thought we'd be.
there was that hope too in Chicago. Oh, we
I
can get
know.
one of these guys. We can get one of the top
Yeah.
guys. It's going to happen.
I mean, it was exactly correct when they posted that the number 3 best Bears quarterback is Russell Wilson saying he'd play for the Bears.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bears are who we thought they were.
And they just Bears us. They Bears us
100%
again.
accurate. Okay, what about the Patriots? Actually, let's talk to Banjo real quick. Does Philly still want Foles to back up Hurts? I don't think so.
No, the way that they're
If there
going
was a team that might take him, it would be the Eagles.
No, I don't think so, because now the way that
Foles
they've
for
got-
Hurts straight up.
Hurts is a different kind of quarterback. Foles was a better type of quarterback to back up a Carson Wentz than he is to back up a Hurts, who's more of a mobile guy who's going to run. They're going to design more of an offensive running scheme, designed with quarterback runs. Where Foles, not a runner.
Not at all.
No, he's the opposite of the fastest kid alive.
Not at all. So the Patriots, they signed, I think, everyone.
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick did
everybody.
not like missing the playoffs. I think
No.
that he just
He just went on a spending spree.
nope.
It's like he got his first check in the NFL and just yeeted it all over
that's-
free agency.
The stimmy came. That's the joke.
Is that what it was?
He got that stimulus check and he just looked out.
Yeah.
All right, let's see who's out there in free agency. Oh, you?
Yeah, I'm gonna get one for show. For show. I'm getting that for show.
It's like he just rolled into the McDonald's and said, I'll take one of everything.
Yeah, he's just the best tight end that's available. We'll take him,
Yeah.
and then we'll take the other best
Yeah.
tight end that's available.
Get wrecked,
You get a
NFL.
tight end. You get a tight end.
You guys can't have tight ends if we have them all. So just hoarding them.
The NFL just lacking tight ends now. So maybe you just did it to block their division rivals, and it's all just some master plan.
So fantasy football wise here, Hunter Henry, Jonnu, like,
So the
are we
thing-
fading both of them?
no, I think you can take one late in your draft. We'll see how it looks. I think they could both be like in that mid, like, tight end 12 range and usable.
Well, again, when
But they are guys that have gotten hurt in the past. So if one gets hurt, all of a sudden the other one back up
when
to.
Gronk and Hernandez were there, it was pretty much just Gronk, and Hernandez was a decoy or a 1 or 2 catch a game guy. He was never really startable. Where Gronk, thrives. So I'm curious to see if one guy will take off and the other guy is just pure blocking and a once off. But I don't know. I don't like either of them in this position. I mean, also you have Cam Newton throwing you the ball potentially. So I don't think that really gets me excited at all either.
Yeah, Cam was interesting. He didn't have a great year as far as throwing the ball. He had, the rushing touchdowns, but it didn't look great. They didn't make the playoffs with Cam. Had the little COVID hiccup. It does take a while to learn the Patriots offense. So we'll see. What are your thoughts on Cam going forward? I don't want him anywhere near any of my dynasty or redraft teams.
No Patriots.
Maybe you stream him once in a while.
I'm on the no Patriots train, and I mean they're up there with the Eagles now and a few other teams. Unfortunately, right now I've only got like 5 teams I can pick players from anymore. Banjo seems like a Higbee Everett situation there.
It could very well turn into that.
Yeah, but again, neither of those guys are really usable unless one was out. So,
all right. Do you remember the tight end or the wide receivers that they signed? Because that was another just Aguilar, and they got Kenton or Bourne, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they don't really
not
inspire
exciting.
a lot of confidence.
No, again, and you still have the Cam like shadow over everything. So I think I'm completely out on Patriots.
They got Juden, was the Baltimore line. So again, they're just filling holes. They're
Right.
filling all the holes,
Right.
That's what she said.
and we'll see if it works out.
Are we
for
that
them.
type of show now? We're that type of show.
I've been holding on to
Fair
that
enough. Fair enough. We mentioned before Tyrod Taylor to the Texans, just purely in case Deshaun leaves.
Yeah, you don't want him to be your starting quarterback. It would make them bringing in that type of quarterback might make you think, though, they're going to try and hold on to him. I don't know if you feel the same way as me if you read into it a little bit.
I think they're trying desperately to hold on to Deshaun Watson. I think they're playing chicken with each other and just going to try and see who breaks first. And honestly, I hope Deshaun does. I not breaks first. I hope Deshaun wins. I hope he gets traded and creates new opportunities. Because really, even him on the Texans really hampers his production and how much he can help his offensive pieces.
Yeah, as a Brandon Cooks owner, I like it.
Hey, fanboy, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Hello.
Happy to have you.
Always.
All right, there it is. Hello.
But if Deshaun Watson goes to the Dolphins, I mean, it opens up more possibilities for offensive pieces. Because, okay, if he stays with the Texans, you have Brandon Cooks as wide receiver 2, maybe back end wide receiver 2. After that, what do you got?
Yeah, no, Brandon Cooks, if he stays, I think could be a very usable fantasy asset. Especially
he's an undervalued, really good flex.
He consistently gets 1,000 yards a season. He's performed year after year, going from one offense to another, which is hard to do. So if he can just, again,
I don't disagree, but he's not Tyreek Hill or Kittle. Watson is good enough to be that caliber player. You get him in the right system. I don't see why he can't support a bunch of good players.
Yeah, interesting kind of just the lack of other things you've seen from the Texans. I believe they signed the former Ravens running back, Ingram, which was interesting to see him land on a spot. So we got two older running backs in David Johnson and Ingram.
Well, I mean, you take Deshaun Watson to the Panthers even. They're another one of the rumored teams to be interested. You have, DJ Moore there. You have, I think Robbie Anderson's gone, correct?
Robbie Anderson on the Panthers, he's still there.
He is still there.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Curtis Samuel's gone. And then you have CMC back. I mean, that's a pretty dynamic offense, and I'm more excited about that than him with the Texans.
The rumors we heard from a while back were that Christian would be part of the deal to get Deshaun, which, again, makes no sense because if you're trading away your quarterback, you're in rebuild mode. They'd want a handful of picks would be.
Right, and at this point, they've already paid Ingram and David Johnson. So
I don't see that happening.
Plus, they really like David Johnson. They traded Hopkins for him.
And David Johnson had a decent fantasy year. The Texans aren't a high-powered running offense, so if they have a guy like that...
They don't have an offensive line. That's part of the problem.
Really what they need to do is add some offensive linemen. Speaking of offensive linemen, one of the former Patriot linemen, I think it's Thuney?
Sure.
So he gets signed to Kansas City. So they had just recently cut a couple of their offensive linemen, one who was injured. People were concerned about that. So they bring in a high-powered offensive lineman to protect Patty Mahomes, my dynasty quarterback.
And they're rumored to be interested in Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz, let's talk about
the
Zach
Patriot
Ertz.
way, the double tight end.
Ertz had a down year. The years leading up to that, he was one of the top 2, top 3 tight ends. He's age 30, I believe. He hopefully has a little bit of gas in the tank, had some injuries. The whole Eagles team was in disarray a little bit last year. I don't know that I like that because he's going to be buried behind Travis Kelce. And, when he gets on the field, he'll be productive, hopefully, but he's just not going to have the kind of opportunity. You want him to go somewhere where he can step in and kind of be the guy right away.
Again, keep pushing this theory of you don't want anybody past the top 2 pass catchers on the offense, which would be Hill and Kelsey for sure. But for how often they score and how little production they got out of their running back as far as passing goes, honestly, I think there may be some red zone targets, enough red zone targets to make Ertz a plausible start.
I got to go to the chat for this question. I love this. Fanboy says, do you think the Pats will make any more free agency moves?
Yeah, I'm going to get one. For show. For show. I'm getting that for show.
They very well could.
By the minute, it seems like.
Have you ever gone to like a store, you get in that mood when you're like online shopping and you're just
another
like,
one.
Oh, I like that.
Another
one.
one.
I like that one.
Yeah. It's like grocery shopping from home when you're super hungry.
I think the GIF I posted in the Discord was just a lady in the shopping aisle like knocking all the boxes into the cart. And hey, why not, man? If you're going for it, you might as well go for it. If you're going to financial ruin, you might as well just go out with a blaze.
Quick update: Gronk back to the Bucs on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I saw that one.
I'm a 1-year deal guy for the rest of my career.
That makes sense. I like it.
Fine.
And again, they paid him good money.
They really did.
But if it makes Tom happy, again, you got to think that, Tom's already re-signed. It sounds like Antonio Brown was in talks with trying to come back. It hadn't officially happened the last I
didn't see this move. Jaguars signed Marvin Jones to a 2-year deal.
I did see that. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, it makes me less scared of the whole Stafford, reunion tour.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, everybody's hyped for him, and he's going to be the man in Jacksonville. We'll see. Just anybody, I think, that you can get now for cheap, especially in Dynasty, it's just got that chance of blowing up. And even if the first couple games go that guy, it's like, oh, you can sell the narrative of this is his guy. This is the one that's going to get all the catches, and then just trade him.
Are we burying the lead a little bit here? Aaron Jones back on a 4-year deal with the Packers.
So Aaron Jones, I do have in Dynasty, and I think that's the best case scenario for him as far as just his fantasy production for the next couple of years. Maybe you would have gotten excited if you went to like a 49ers, or if you went to Miami, where maybe you could have got all the volume and just been the guy. If you took him and threw him in Gaskin's spot last year, what would it look like? But the Packers do lose their stud center, so he's gone in free agency. I want to say he went to the Chargers, who needed an offensive lineman. Their line was rough last year. And we'll see if that makes a big difference in their scheme and what they're trying to do. But Aaron Jones, he's going to be on a team that's putting up points. Aaron Rodgers, he gets him down there. Sure. They know how to use him. They do a pretty good job of saving him and keeping him healthy throughout the length of the year. He is a little bit undersized, so you like it a lot. We talked a little bit like what would you be offering or what would you be asking for Aaron Jones in a dynasty league?
I mean, we talked about it. I have the 1-1, and we're trying to figure out if that's a straight-up fair trade. Because 1-1, you realistically can get Najee Harris or Etienne, however you want to pronounce it, or Jamar Chase, and you can pick whatever one goes to the best spot, which is valuable. If one of them goes to a really, really good spot, then, yeah, I mean, it's probably worth to have the younger asset for the longer term, especially if you know their landing spot. But Aaron Jones is a top 5 running back, and you don't have any questions of him in a new offense or new scheme or anything. It's the same old tried and true, and it seems like Jamal Williams is gone too. So that's kind of another, couple more carries potentially that he gets.
The only real knocks I could see on him is, again, he's a year older. He was a little banged up at the end of the year. Nothing that looks like it should linger over into this coming year. We got alerts popping. All right, nothing too big.
I got the DoorDash coming.
Dang it.
And they said, we're not delivering at this time. So I keep checking the order because Brittany's up there starving, But
the other knock was the center taking off. But, yeah, other than that.
They hold every play, so the offensive line doesn't matter.
That's true. That is true. The Packers are dirty cheaters. You heard it here first.
I know.
But I think that Jamal Williams taking off, there were a lot of kind of plays in the red zone, just in drives where they would throw Jamal Williams in. You're like, oh, man, this could be Aaron Jones' time. And, again, there were a lot of games where they didn't necessarily need to just fully rely on him.
Well, here's the thing. The backup now is A.J. Dillon, who's
not a catcher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He seems like a much lesser of a receiving threat, but maybe more of a goal line threat. So there's maybe a little compromise there. But, Banjo, would you rather have Jacobs or Jones in Dynasty? I think it's Jones by a decent margin.
I agree very much. My team, I have set up where I hope to be competing for the championship next year. I've got Christian McCaffrey. I've got some kind of
hope.
Well, again, I got Pat Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey. I got, if CeeDee Lamb and Dak, if they can be, if they can take the next step, and if Calvin Ridley, if hopefully Jones is good enough to support him, and they don't have some kind of wit. Again, it's not a signed sealed. Oh, this team's definitely going to win. There's some
seems
strong
like
teams.
a lot of ifs.
Nick's team is good on paper. Our buddy Chris, he's got a nice team, but I think I'm in the top 4, I believe.
Yeah, I agree.
And Aaron Jones, I'll need him if I'm going to make that run next year. I could definitely see if I wasn't feeling like I was in that top half, trading him now.
Well, I think you made a risky move trading for him, but I think it's paid off. And you could trade him for the same value right now.
No, I'm happy that he's not on the Jets or on the Chargers or something like that. The Chargers are kind of rebuilding their line, but those were a couple spots. The one that maybe scared me the most was the Patriots. Anytime that they're like, running back.
Nobody to the Patriots, please.
I did see a report that Chris Carson of the former Seattle Seahawks, who they did not franchise, was talking to the Patriots, which makes no sense in the world to me. But anytime anybody talks to anybody, you got to have the news alerts. I want it. I need it. Just give it to me.
Just keep sending them.
That's why we're addicts. Josh Jacobs, though, I was looking at his numbers. We talked about him on some previous shows, and I'm not overly impressed with Josh Jacobs as a talent. His opportunity is great.
Okay. But if you looked at some key stats, you'd be like, okay, I get it.
I get it, but
he's got a good efficiency. He's got good utilization. I mean, they use him a ton when he's healthy. I mean, he's got knocks on, health for sure. And he seems to be, I don't know, he just doesn't seem to be in it at times. I mean, especially with the tweets.
In a lot of games. If you go back and looked in our half PPR format, there were a lot of games under 10 points. I want to say there was like 5 or 6, which is alarming when you're trying to. That kind of guy hurts your team a lot because I have to play him, but he gives you 8, and you lose that week. And
also that Raiders offense isn't.
It's not high powered.
No, I mean it's a one trick pony. They just throw it to Waller every time, and if he doesn't catch a touchdown, then they kick a field goal, and that's it.
There you go.
That's it.
That's the plan.
So, I don't know. Not super in love with Jacobs, but I like him more. Josh Jacobs or Joe Mixon?
For me, I'll probably go Joe Mixon if they pick a lineman early in this draft. They got a high pick, and everybody's projecting them to take an offensive lineman.
Cam Newton or Ryan Fitzmagic with Washington?
Oh, give me the Magic man. Now you see me. Now you don't.
How much more excited would you have been if they signed Fitzmagic instead of Dalton?
A lot more. For so many
much
reasons.
more.
At least they're going to try to throw. At least we're going to have some action. At least we're not just going to sit there, score 12 points, lose 14-12.
There's no way you're letting Fitzy go out there and hold back.
You can't put baby in the corner.
No,
you
never.
You got to make some magic.
That'd have been so much better.
You know what we need? Some magic, Nick. We need some magic in Chicago because we're too busy watching biscuits go out there.
Greg says Fitzy all day.
Yep. Wasn't meant to be. So this is the man that believes that the Bears are going to make a splash play and get a better quarterback.
I hope you're right. I really, really do.
I'll try in here. Let me see if I can find the case he made and just some of the names that he threw out. But I think this is their move. I think Dalton's the guy, and they're going to try. Like I said, they'll act like it could be Foles.
I think if they made this move this early, either something wasn't happening, they have already something planned, or they're going with the rookie. Like
just full tilt. It's like
the something planned. It's just they can't afford anyone. So
Deshaun fell through a while ago, so they gave up. They put all their eggs in the Wilson basket. They're like, no, we don't want to trade him, and they full tilt panicked.
They just bought who they could afford and somebody that's not terrible, which the Red Rocket isn't terrible.
So here's the case,
and they're going to take a rookie. That's the best case.
The options that remain on the table for the Bears: potential of Wilson or Watson. He still has a flicker of hope. I think that's all but done.
Yeah.
But if they aren't available, you could get Darnold from the Jets. You could try for Carr. You could get Jimmy Garoppolo. You could get Hurts. If the Eagles draft a quarterback, is the caveat on that one. Tua, Bridgewater, plus the entire NFL draft. Trade up for Lance, Mac Jones, Wilson, etc., or stay put, and then maybe try for like a mid-tier guy like Trask. I'm not a Trask man, but
no, I'm not excited by any of that. Here, let's go over the.
Oh, here you go. But I could repurpose this if we get Trask.
Oh, I love trash.
You're not wrong. We have a history of bringing in a bad red-haired quarterback before trading up in the draft and picking someone else.
Who's
also bad.
Alluding to Mike Glennon, but then they blew that pick, and here we are in limbo.
So this time we can't get the number 1 overall, so we'll take the number 2 or number 3, which in case we'd get, Watson or Mahomes comp, sure, I'm in for that. But I don't think it's going to happen. I wish it would happen, but I don't think it's going to. Manuel Sanders to the Bills.
This is my nightmare.
That was for the Bears stuff.
Yeah.
So you're the Bills guy. Give us your Bills update, and what do you think for young Taylor Gabriel?
I think it's not great for Taylor Gabriel.
It's not the best.
You get rid of John Brown, and you bring in a slightly older, probably slightly better wide receiver in Sanders, who honestly didn't do a whole lot last year. So, and I think Beasley's still on the team. So if Beasley leaves, I'm still pretty hyped for Davis. If they all stay on there, I'm less excited for Davis. So I'm holding judgment, but this isn't a good move. More players is never a good move.
Yeah, he's an older guy. That veteran presence could be depth, but he's still involved on the Saints last year. I'm not excited for him. I think it's more I'm worried about the other pieces. Right. And does he take away from a young guy like Gabriel that we both like? I like Gabriel too.
For sure. Back to Fitzmagic real quick. Terry McLaurin, does this hyper benefit Terry?
Terry will get targeted, and you got to think they're going to be better passes than he was getting from Haskins and Alex Smith. He wasn't airing it out.
No.
I think it'll shoot Terry up. People will be more hyped on him with Fitzmagic there.
Because I feel like Terry's kind of almost getting that Keenan Allen rap. We're pretty undervalued, just a lot of catches.
He had injuries. I think he played through like 2 high ankle sprains last year.
He plays though.
And it slows you down. Those guys with high ankle sprains.
Greg, Terry top 5. I'm not putting him in the top 5 because realistically, nobody's letting Ryan Fitzmagic play 16 games.
I think Washington wants to win with their defense as well. They want to run the ball. We'll see if they bring in another running back. I know that people like Gibson, but
over under 9 games started for Fitzmagic this season.
I'll give him over.
Okay.
I think that they might ride with him this year, and they might make the playoffs with him. He's getting up there in age, though. I want to read you this headline that I like,
150 targets,
just because it suits my purposes. But James White receiving interest from several teams, including the Bucs. Oh, I'm hoping.
Go figure. Go figure.
But the reason I brought that up is, which team were we just talking about?
They're still calling Tyrod Taylor the Kingmaker for every time he leaves.
Yeah.
Bring him to the Bears. We could have signed the Kingmaker and then drafted a quarterback.
Oh, so anyways, the team that I was going to say for James White that's starting to emerge, if Jamal Williams takes off, was the Green Bay Packers. Might be a spot where he could come and be the reception kind of guy to Dylan Smash.
Just copy paste.
It'd be interesting. But Aaron Rodgers is smart enough to kind of use a guy like that, and he's worked with Tom. I think that if there was another place I was looking for where James White could be relevant, that'd be a spot that'd be interesting.
I think that's fair. Leonard Fournette, potentially on the move. He's got an offer from the Buccaneers, but some other teams interested, including the Seahawks.
Yeah, those were the ones that I had seen as well. I think the Seahawks, he's got a better chance to just win the job and be the guy, especially if Penny goes down.
In my mind, he kind of fits the Marshawn mold. The little rebellious and, just going to try and stomp on people. And
Marshawn was like more likable, it seems.
Oh, much more likable.
He's a weird guy, didn't want to talk to the media, but did it in such a way that he was still an entertaining character through his not talking, whereas Leonard's just seems like...
And you had to like how he played.
I like the Arians where he's just like, you can be here and play or you can get out. Up to you, buddy. And I think it worked for him there, so I think that...
Honestly, if Leonard goes to the Seahawks, I might spend up a little bit more for him.
I think he's going to take whoever offers him the most money, personally.
I agree. I don't disagree with that at all. Let's see here. Eagles have given tight end Zach Ertz permission to seek a trade.
Yep, so that was one we talked about. The Kansas City had reached out to him. Trying to think of spots that would be good landing spots for him. If he ended up on Jacksonville, that'd be interesting just because you got the whole kind of new situation going on. They don't have a real strong tight end right now. If you went to the Cowboys, would be one that I don't see it happening, but Cowboys, high-powered offense, throw Ertz in there. It'd be a Jerry Jonesy kind of move to make.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Corey Davis going to the Titans.
Try again. the New York Jets.
Used to be on the Titans, to the New York Jets.
That's all right. That's why we're
Another
here.
mediocre
We're
team.
a team, Nick. We are a team.
Redman, welcome in. What about Ertz to Colts? I heard that, relationship earlier on, but I haven't seen that as
They always like to have 5, 6, 7 tight ends, right? Just
sure.
hanging out.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the reason that makes sense is because he would meet up with his former teammate. Carson
It's just been like a tight end carousel, though, for the Colts.
I personally would like to see Zach Ertz not with Carson Wentz. They had good rapport, but it started to go away a little bit last year. I don't know. I think that the Colts are an infinitely better situation for Wentz. It'll give him all the opportunity in the world. They'll have good protection. It's well coached, but
Correct.
I don't know. He was bad, man. He was bad.
He was bad, man. You heard it here first.
So at least, Andy Dalton or Carson Wentz, all things considered now for the Bears.
Honestly, I'd rather have Andy Dalton.
Okay. Andy Dalton, 33.
So much cheaper in a 1-year deal.
That's the key is the money. At least
you don't have to pay for him.
So if it's awful this year, Pace and Nagy go. At least you didn't leave the team as of yet in some giant crater that'll take 10 years to crawl out
I think even
of.
they saw the games last year and they're like, oh, we can't roll Foles out here anymore. Like, Andy Dalton's a quarterback. He's not a really good one, but he's a quarterback.
No. Hard pass. Hard pass.
All right, Corey Davis to the New York Jets.
There you go. Not at all excited. I can't think of a worse spot for a guy. It's such a Jetsy move to sign Corey Davis, a guy who came out, was highly touted, was bad for multiple years, finally has one good year, and they're like, there it is. We believe it. I'll take it. Take all my money. And then he goes over there and he's bad again.
When the Jets won the second game and completely lost the chance of the number 1 pick, they just already put themselves back in the rotation of bad quarterbacks.
And then they just overpay for Corey Davis.
You got bamboozled.
They have money to spend. Why not spend it?
I like the coach that they brought in there from the 49ers, but he's more of a defensive-minded guy.
They're going to have a good defense, terrible quarterback, and try and win games like the Bears do, and 16 to, whatever. Aaron Jones is back, but Corey is gone. Sad but happy, says Bambo. Yeah, I think Aaron Jones being back is... Again, I think it's really good for fantasy football, and I think it's terrible if you're a Green Bay Packer fan.
I think it's good if you're a Green Bay Packer fan. You want to make the case against just financially? Or
yeah, you just can't pay running backs anymore.
Yeah, but if he comes back and you get good years out of him, they didn't give him an astronomical deal. I think he's the 6th highest paid running back in the NFL, so he kind of took a little bit of the homer deal.
Yeah, well, any player coming up this offseason, I don't think is going to get full market value.
So there was a world in
Dak.
the fantasy, just a sphere of the fantasy world where people were like, A.J. Dillon, he's going to be a monster. He's the next Henry. He's going to be great. There is as easily a world where A.J. Dillon came out, he had looked good in the 2 games you saw, and he wasn't good. All of a sudden you have Jamal Williams, who I like, but is not the guy you want being the guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a slow, plodding A.J. Dillon.
Redmond says, Gaskin owners dodged a bullet by Jones, not going to Miami. I think there's going to be more bullets.
I think that, the gas
the chamber's not empty.
Is it's gonna catch fire, and it was a nice ride while you got it. Probably picked him up for cheap, but I think it's very likely that if they don't pick up somebody in free agency, they take someone in the NFL draft. And I don't like.
I think there's still trouble to come there if you're a Gaskin owner, unfortunately. But
although I will admit that I very strongly felt they would take a running back in last year's draft, and they did not. But Swift on Miami. If you had Swift, you own him in Dynasty on the Lions.
I do.
We talked about Swift. We like his kind of the prospect of him getting all the work, all the touches, all the catching, everything that the receiving, some people call it.
Yeah.
All the opportunity. Do. But
again, if he's
going to be on the Lions.
If he gets 25 touches a game, he'll be
if he scores their 1 touchdown a game, he's useful.
For sure. If he's their Christian McCaffrey, it's fine. Everything's fine.
I don't think he's Christian, but
probably not, but I'm hoping. There's a chance. It's him and Hawkinson. They don't really have anybody else. So
you're telling me there's a chance?
Jets wide receiver Josh Dotson plans on returning this season after opting out last season. I'm told he went on a humanitarian mission to Africa in 2020. Interesting.
Good for him.
Good year off.
Not interested for Dynasty. I'm gonna be nice to him. All right. Hey, good for you. We like humanitarianism. Help your fellow man.
Banjo, Malcolm Brown already wounded Gaskin. It doesn't help Gaskin.
but it doesn't hurt him. Like, let's say that's the only guy they bring in. You're thrilled for Gaskin.
Well, you still have Salvin Ahmed there and Matt Breida. So
I think Matt Breida might.
Is he a free agent now?
Cut bait with him.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was on the free agent list, but again, so far down that nobody's really interested. Let's talk about some other names on the list. So we spoke about Robinson and Goodwin both got franchise tagged by the Bears in Tampa Bay. Kenny Galladay still floating around out there. You hear any whispers?
Curtis Samuel. No.
I think I heard a little bit of Giants chatter, but
I don't like that.
no full fires yet. Some other guys I wanted to talk about. We talked about Cam, but Winston and Hill. Young Jameis Winston, wet behind the ears.
How do we get a Taysom Hill contract? A 4-year, $140 million.
$140 million where 12
mystical
12,000
number.
are guaranteed. It's just the most like when you look at like super rich people and they look at their taxes, it's rich people taxes. That's what he's working with. It's like, I saw that number, like, that's got to be a typo. They got to have given him like $14 million. No, $140 million, 12 is guaranteed, and they can cancel all the rest of it anytime.
Yeah.
They're like, it's just a completely arbitrary number that will in no way ever reach his bank account.
Yeah. If he farts in the locker room, the contract's
But
over.
it helped
like,
them to make
there's red flags
imaginary
all over the place.
cap space. And now
I don't get it.
my brother and good friend of the show, Greg, has Taysom Hill in Dynasty. I have Jameis Winston. So we were both just going back and forth, trying to convince
it's gonna
the
be
other.
Winston. There's no way it's not Winston.
I heard floated that it may be a Tua Fitzmagic dual quarterback situation, a timeshare for quarterbacks.
'Cause that works
Any
out.
chance?
No.
It hasn't really yet. Again, the best recent example was it kind of worked for Miami last year.
Did it?
But you bring in Jameis when you're down, you got to chuck it. You put in Hill when you got to
No,
protect
what they
the
did
lead.
is they had Fitzmagic, and they're like, oh, wait, we got to get this new guy reps. Oh, he's losing us the game. We got to put Fitzmagic back in. And then they just kept doing that back and forth.
I can't wait to just
It's
watch.
like a Tom Brady in Michigan situation where they put the other guy to start the game. They'd be down 2 touchdowns, and they'd put Brady in, and he'd bring him back, essentially. Bambo. So Andy Dalton and A-Rob connection going to be a thing. Andy Dalton can produce fantasy football wide receivers. He had A.J. Green for a long time. He got Boyd up to relevancy. He still got CeeDee Lamb and Gallup and Cooper touches.
The Bears are who we thought they were.
He's just not a good quarterback for real life football, and he is not super exciting to watch. But A-Rob will still be fine.
I immediately regret this decision.
just
I'm okay
pace
taking
after
Allen
signing
Robinson.
Dalton. Robinson will get some. He'll be okay. We'll
He'll
see
still
if they
be a wide receiver 1.
They could use a wide receiver 2 on that team too. So we'll see if they add.
And
anybody.
it sounds like they're going to cut Anthony Miller.
I heard trade. There was rumors of him possibly being shopped.
Literally
for
a
trade.
minute later, they said if nobody wants him, they're going to cut him. Which
That's not how you get trades done. Oh, that is me in Dynasty all the time.
Is Andy Dalton the best QB of Robinson's career?
Nah. Andy
yeah.
Dalton today, probably not.
Probably not Andy Dalton today, but Andy Dalton at some point in his
Which
career.
does beg
yes.
it does beg the question, though. It's like, man, and you hate to think about it, but Mitchell Trubisky or Andy Dalton, like, who gives you the better chance to win?
Honestly, I'd rather watch Andy Dalton.
He won't be mobile. They need a
Change for
mobile
the sake of
quarterback.
change, Mike. But yeah, Mitchell Trubisky looks too appealing at certain points, and you're just going to keep signing him and doing stupid things.
I'm going to
cut it.
give myself this drop in regards to Dalton.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I find my lack of faith disturbing because I've got zero faith that Dalton takes him to the next level and helps him, achieve anything other than maybe squeaking into the last wild card.
I think he can get you a couple fantasy relevant players for the season and not be very good for real football, and maybe make a playoff appearance, and that's it.
Yep. Going back to the chat, Redman makes a good point. He kind of said what we were saying. Hill, it said 140, but it's actually more like a $12 million for next year contract, which also Jameis got is very similar, $12 million. So they're both kind of neck and neck as far as their contract situation. But it is an undrafted NFL player who started his career as a tight end versus the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. You gotta like Jameis's chances to get every opportunity. But Jameis has proven not to be the brightest bulb. He makes poor football decisions as well as life decisions.
But he makes great fantasy football decisions.
Jameis could find himself doing something stupid and be off that team. He stole a donkey and rode it down Main Street, firing a gun into the air. Like, Jameis is just a wild card.
Well, especially in New Orleans.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do it,
it just invites craziness.
That's basically just a speeding ticket in New Orleans. But
you think he sits out if he doesn't get a contract done? No, Allen Robinson's just not that type of guy.
No, and it's just he doesn't have a lot to gain from it. They will let him sit and rot. Maybe they try to force a trade somewhere. But
if you think about it, too, I was listening to The Score on the way home, which is our radio station here near Chicago. But made a good point where these players aren't getting paid this offseason. So really, you see all these one-year deals. He was probably going to get a one-year deal anyway. He gets guaranteed money. He doesn't have to learn a new system. I mean, it's not great, but it could be worse. It's not going to be too dissimilar that from what other wide receivers are going to get. You're going to see a lot of these. Like Kenny Galladay, I'm interested to see what he signs for. It could be a 1 year, big contract.
Gotta think it'll be more than Corey Davis.
It's got to be more than Corey Davis. It's probably going to be 15 mil.
Yeah,
16.
Yeah. It'll be a multiple year, like a 3 year, 50 mil, 50 plus.
Yeah, unless he wants more money, he'll sign a 1 year deal and try and
with the cap situation, that is a good point. Is there are some guys that are maybe more willing to take a 1 year deal this year, hoping they can cash in again next year. You just got to stay healthy.
That's what I think. Even if Robinson hits free agency, you don't know that you're going to get paid. That's the unfortunate part. Been hearing Patrick Peterson and AJ Green both have interest in coming to Green Bay. Wouldn't be mad at Peterson, but Green, I don't know.
AJ Green, take a drink. Take a drink.
I don't know. Speaking of the drink.
AJ Green Bay. All right, let me see if I can find it for you here.
So tasty.
Arnold Palmer
so
alert.
tasty.
Arnold Palmer alert. Who wants some Arnie Palmies?
Sometimes after you sign Andy Dalton, you just need to have an Arnold Palmer, just kind of relax for the evening.
So Galladay to the Ravens, that makes some sense. It's just, do they need a high-powered wide receiver on a team that doesn't want to throw the ball?
I'm going back to what we all thought before, and Lamar just can't throw the ball. He just can't throw the ball. We know now.
I can throw the ball, but he just
can't throw the ball.
Doesn't necessarily want to. It's not his first instinct. He can put it on a line.
They were last in total passing last year.
Kenny Galladay doesn't hurt
last.
his passing. It helps him. Maybe
Does
Galladay.
If he throws it 8 feet above his head, does it matter who is
He's a better passer than you give him credit for. But
is he? They finished
he
last.
Does. No, he can throw a rope.
No.
He got a strong arm.
No.
So going on though, I think Galladay to the Ravens makes sense. We'll see if that happens. If it pans out, they've got some money to move.
Shark to Baltimore. Anybody to Baltimore is bad.
Basically, any wide receiver that goes to Baltimore, I would agree. I don't want that wide receiver.
Right.
It would have to be like Devontae Adams, and even then I'd be scared, but I'd still want to.
Oh,
it's obviously never going to happen.
No,
it would have to be an elite level wide receiver.
If I was a Devontae Adams owner, I would just immediately throw up. That sounds.
Oh, you want to hear who else got a 1 year contract? It is the Falcons kicker, Younghoe Koo.
Yeah,
I like it. I want to draft Younghoe everywhere.
Cairo Santos, Bears committed to a kicker.
That's the best signing they've made all year. Maybe for the past 3 years. Khalil Mack we liked, but that contract's starting to hurt you a little bit now. You needed to win in the window that you had.
Matt Ryan's new cap number for 2022 is $48.62 million. Holy moly.
Corey Linsley was the name of the center for the Packers that is going to be moving on.
I don't want any receiver on that team that runs the ball literally 50% of the time. I agree. I'm out on it. But their running backs have been pretty good. Where are you putting J.K. Dobbins this season?
I like Dobbins. I'm concerned about him not getting a lot of passing work. Gus Edwards is actually a guy that I think you grab in those double-digit rounds of your redraft leagues, and he might pay out. I think he'll be usable even if there's not an injury to Dobbins, but if Dobbins gets hurt, he's going to be the guy. I like Dobbins. I think he's going to get a lot of touchdowns. I'd give him, high chance to have double-digit touchdowns as far as a running back.
I think he's almost a shoo-in for a top 12.
He's got that explosive. Yeah, I like him a lot.
Really, you're only hampered by Lamar Jackson,
plays.
But
I think you're
he
hampered
can't run all
just by the lack of use in the passing game, and sometimes it takes a little bit of a step forward for rookies, but I don't perceive it happening on the Ravens.
At least 3 teams are in contact with the Patriots about N'Keal Harry.
If N'Keal Harry goes somewhere, I think in Dynasty I'm trying to trade him on the hype. Yeah, the Titans would be actually a very good spot for him. He's got that big body. He could be kind of just to take over the Corey Davis role. It helped Corey Davis being in that offense to re-energize his career a little bit.
Breaking, Bears signed Kevin King to 2-year deal worth $12 million. No way. That's not a real thing. Because we already signed Pat O'Donnell.
Yeah, we'll have to vet it, but the Bears.
Bambo in here with the trolls.
There was a little
Just
rumor
the all
about
caps trolls.
Trent Williams, the 49ers lineman going over there, so that would be interesting. But I don't think they have the
strange
money
to see
to
a
get
couple
him.
of people wanting to play for the Bears. I think it's the Bears are so desperate. They're like, hey, we'll just say we want to go to the Bears, and they'll ramp up our money.
If the Bears could have gotten a halfway decent quarterback, the whole narrative is completely different. You're excited. People want to go there. They're a contender.
But that'd
and
be
then they
too
bring
easy.
in Andy Dalton, and they didn't have to do it yet either. Like, wait until the absolute last second. People are not fighting each other to get Andy Dalton, and if you miss him,
No.
oh well.
No, they're not. I don't get it. I don't get it. Let's see here. Bears lose their comp pick from the RH signing. Not surprised. So Sam Darnold potentially on the move.
Yeah, I would
Is
like
there
to
any
see
excitement?
So the place that I think you would have the best opportunity would be the Patriots. Actually, they're getting all these pieces. If they could pull off some kind of goofy trade to get Sam Darnold, I like him there. They could go for a quarterback in the draft. They're kind of mediumly positioned. But other than that,
From Mike Lombardi just now, the rumor is actually this was an hour ago. The rumor is Deshaun Watson wants to play for Denver or San Fran.
I don't care where he wants to play. I think they're just going to let him sit on the bench.
Maybe.
Yeah, we don't negotiate with guys that have no leverage is a pretty good stance to take. But the only downside is you're wasting a year and your asset sits there when maybe you could have had 4 firsts and a quarterback instead playing and working towards something. But the Texans are, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on over there.
Leonard Fournette, maybe Patriots?
No, everybody's talking to the Patriots because the Patriots are just calling like, you want to come here? We'll give you money. We got a bag full of
We'll
money.
take anybody.
You want to play? You want to play? You want to sign? You want a contract? Like, everybody and their brother is talking to the
interesting
Patriots.
part is they're signing all these players for just under their top 51 mark, so they don't necessarily count against the cap, which is interesting.
And then next year, it's just they're all living in cardboard boxes in a van down by the river.
Like Bourne, they get for free because he's under their number, so they don't have to count him against the cap at all. So, I mean, just free player.
Bill Belichick.
Except for the $4 million you're paying him.
There you go.
Cincinnati.
Bambo says, every time I think Emmanuel Sanders may come to Green Bay, he just disappoints me.
Do you still want 39-year-old
Green Bay just doesn't want any
Sanders?
wide receivers besides Devontae Adams. That's it. They don't want anybody else. They say, we got Aaron Rodgers. He's good enough. He'll just throw the one
Funchess
guy.
will be back, man. Bunches of Funchess.
No, not a thing. He was never a thing.
Honey Funchess of Oats.
Mark Ingram to the Texans is the epitome of what the last calendar year for a Texans fan has been. Again, it's like the Bears signing Mike Ingram. It's just moves to make moves. That's not even a really good depth piece.
The longer I sit here, the more sad I am about that Andy Dalton signing. It is just a stake through the heart of Bears fans and their hopes and dreams for the next 2 years at least.
Yeah. I agree.
Woof. The only bright shining spot is that they didn't give him like $30 million.
5-year, $100 million
Oh,
deal.
no.
Oh, my goodness. See, my order's still not coming through. No food for me, apparently. Whatever. It's over.
Let's see.
Funchess just says, hasn't shown anything. He can prove me wrong, but...
well, he did opt out this previous season, so that's a great example of why he
hasn't
great
shown
reason
you
why he
anything.
didn't show you anything last year. If you were unaware. Again, I'm sure you were, but let's see. Any other names on the list? I'm looking through.
I think that's it besides some defensive players, which...
Jonnu and Hunter, that double Patriots, picking them both up. I would have liked either one of them if they went individually, but as a pair, definitely hurts them. They eat into each other. Watching very intently. Juju's on my dynasty team, and I'm hoping that he can get in a good spot. I'm a little worried about the Washington football team. I think every wide receiver is trying to avoid the Ravens right now.
What's wrong with the Washington football team? You just don't believe?
So with Fitzmagic there, if maybe there's a million targets and they open up for Juju, I just think that team wants to win with defense. I do like their coach, Rivera. It's not... I don't think it's a death sentence. It's not like, oh, no, now nothing's ever going to go right. I think he could still be very usable, very relevant. But
Andy Dalton is just a stale Mitchell Trubisky.
Andy, again, he's a slower, like less likable Mitchell Trubisky.
I just like that.
I don't hate Andy Dalton as a guy.
There's worse signings, but there's a lot better ones.
Are you not? Is it not a red flag that he like took over the high-powered Cowboys offense that was just scoring 1 million points a game with Dak and was like, meh? The Cowboys offense is better than the Bears offense that he's going to come in and take over.
But they were missing like their entire offensive line too. You saw everybody on that offense struggle really. Zeke didn't do well. Pollard did all right. He was okay for a few games.
All right, give me a call. Winston, Hill, or a combo of the two for the Saints quarterback or other.
100% Winston's quarterback. I don't even know why people are questioning it. Taysom Hill will not be the Saints quarterback.
Just curious what you thought.
It's just not happening. There's no way they're going to roll Taysom Hill out there week in and week out and try and win games. If they're going to try and tank and get a high pick, then maybe. But if they're going to try and win games and compete, there's no way they roll Taysom Hill out there every game.
Now, with that being said, where are you taking Jameis if he's the starting quarterback? Like announced as a starter going into the season, is he a top 12 NFL quarterback at the Saints?
Streamable.
I think that it's not outside of the realm of possibilities that he's the top 6 quarterback if he's the starting quarterback for the Saints. If he's got Michael Thomas.
I'm not putting him that high.
Again, because he loves to chuck it if they let him throw. But he of all people know, because you're paying attention, he was on your team. You saw what he could be for fantasy on the Buccaneers. There are too many picks.
Correct.
If he can be that with a third of the interceptions.
Right, but if you want 40 points for 2 weeks and then 10 points for 6 weeks after that and then 40 points in 4, it's just too up and down. He throws too many picks, makes too many mistakes. But what he is he's good for Kamara. He's really good for Michael Thomas. I mean, those are the guys he really picks up. Taysom Hill, if he's your quarterback, then Michael Thomas takes a huge downgrade and Kamara takes a huge downgrade. You're losing premium NFL fantasy football players by starting Taysom Hill over Winston.
I think what brings down his fantasy point ceiling is that there's a much better defense on the Saints than there were on the Buccaneers at the time that he was playing for them.
Yeah, but
I do like him as a prospect. I think if you know he's going to be the starter, I'd take a flyer with my last pick in a draft and have him be my quarterback rolling out.
If I'm trying to choose between, Stafford or Winston for my streamable candidate, I think it's pretty close, but I don't think I'm going to put him in the top 6-8 right now. I think Saints would need a good deep target to get him his best version for fantasy. Probably. You don't play Michael Thomas and Kamara that much, or you don't pay that much money to. I can't even read this. You don't pay Michael Thomas and Kamara that much money for them to be average with Taysom, in my opinion. I 100% agree.
Yeah. Again, the only thing that the argument for Taysom is just I think he won 3 out of 4 games as a starter. And
how many other teams in the NFL would sign Taysom Hill if he got cut today?
Nobody, but the Saints.
How many teams would sign Jameis Winston if he got cut today?
The Bears should have signed him before the Saints brought him back.
I think that's our answer.
You're the guy.
I don't get
keys
it.
of the kingdom. Oh, so much more optimistic than Andy.
Taysom Hill walks into work and just says, "Hey, how much will you pay me today?"
And the guy at the door goes, "Who the hell are you?"
Exactly. Every single day. It's
I'm
like
Taysom
you and
Hill.
Harrison
I'm
Bryant.
the quarterback.
San Francisco would take him absolutely because Garoppolo is not very good.
Got any Garoppolos?
Not very good. All right, I think we're going to start wrapping them up here. Greg, 32 teams would love to have Taysom Hill just for less money. Zero chance.
Nah, Kansas City's not looking to replace Patty Mahomes
Zero
with
chance.
Taysom Hill.
He's not a legitimate backup, and he's not a legitimate tight end. He would be signed to 0 other football teams. It's just a Sean Payton, like he owed him his owed his mom a favor, and he said, okay, we'll sign to this crazy deal. We'll take care of him for a few years, and then, he'll be gone.
Not up in here!
It's over. Taysom Hill project is over. He got a few starts, and he did pretty well while it lasted. But it's done.
I am again, even if I'm completely wrong and he's the guy, like I'm excited to watch this storyline unfold throughout the offseason.
I don't think it's even a storyline to follow.
They're going to talk about it, and I'm here to listen.
I'm not talking about it anymore. I'm
the
talking about
analysts.
Anymore. It's ridiculous, says Greg. I think it's ridiculous to think that Taysom's going to be the starting quarterback for the Saints if they're trying to win football games, which I would assume they would be.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I don't know. Jameis 1 billion fantasy points.
This sad. Jameis, I think the last 4 seasons in a row, his last pass of the season has been a touchdown. I mean,
that is a fabulous stat.
Yeah, you can't just make that up. That's just how good he is.
Oh, I like that.
Again, I said 32 teams would want him on the roster, not that he'd start at QB. I didn't even say start. Nobody would sign him as the backup. Nobody would sign him as the backup quarterback or backup tight end or the backup tight end. He's a gadget player that they have found a role for in the offense, and that's it.
Yeah, they like him. It's just Sean Payton's like, this is fun.
Right. It's like Kyle Juszczyk,
Yes. Nobody else is paying Juszczyk the money that he made.
Absolutely.
And the 49ers
nobody
value him, and they gave him more. Again,
absolutely.
Nobody else even uses the fullback.
Correct. He's a utility. He's a gadget player. And you know what? They use him pretty well, and he understands the concepts, and they like having him around. But he's not what you can roll in your starting lineup week in and week out. And again, if you like fantasy football, you hate Taysom Hill because he tanks everybody else around him.
The only thing that's interesting is like they paid him you're competing for the job money. They didn't pay him like, we like you as a guy. Like, I think that as of right now, it looks like they're at least going in with like, there's a chance that you're the guy.
No, they're just trying to humble Winston a little bit, I think. And
he just sat on the bench the whole year. Like, I think he's humbled out. Hopefully they're probably trying to teach him how to read the playbook. Like, Jameis, he's great physical talent.
If Jameis is the Saints quarterback, I'm pretty excited for their offensive weapons.
I think that I'm much more excited for the wide receivers.
He's a younger
Kamara.
Fitzmagic, as we call him here.
Fitz is craftier. Like, again, Jameis, they
just yeet the ball downfield and just hope somebody with their jersey color catches it. That's all they do, and it's phenomenal. I like it. I like it a lot.
We kind of talked about it before the show. Just like the off-field trouble he gets into, it's never just like, oh, he got a DUI. It's like Jameis stole crab legs while he was screaming obscenities on the table at a cafeteria. Like, he's just...
It's usually
and he seems like, again, he seems like lighthearted. He seems likable, but he just, like, as far as just... I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on in Jameis's head. Rookie mistakes for the past, entirety of his career.
But again, he's been pretty quiet the last couple of years. So, I mean, I got to give him credit for that. And again, I think he'd be good. And if he throws the ball to the other team and they score, that's even better for your offense, a la the Dallas Cowboys at the beginning of this season.
There is a crazy world, and we talked about it, and you kind of dismissed it, where it's like a two-headed quarterback monster, where Jameis is the when they're behind guy, need to throw it guy, and Taysom's the protect the lead guy. So I could see that it's not insane on paper. We haven't seen it work very well, but Peyton's a good coach.
I need Jameis to eat some W's in New Orleans.
Works for me.
It could happen. And we'll leave you with this, where they wanted to let us know that you can start ordering your Andy Dalton jerseys now before they go on back order. So it is live. You can get your Dalton jerseys now. Get them while they're hot.
Why are you the way that you are?
Yeah. Alrighty. Thank you for joining us on this somber, Bears free agency day.
Yep, depending on where you're watching, subscribe, follow. If you catch us on YouTube, you can always check us out live on Twitch. Jump in the chat. We'd be happy to have you. Give us your comments, anything you want to hear about that we missed, anything you disagree with us. We will get back to you if we see that.
We'll be back next Tuesday.
Yep.
For more.
We're doing it live.
Hopefully, we'll have some more free agency news.
I want to know where Kenny G's going.
I want to know where Curtis Samuel's going.
Job's done.
All right. See you, everybody.